Hello there, my name's Lisa. I'm so glad you could join me today because I've got a story to tell you. It's called Stranger in the Glen. A stranger came hurrying down the glen one dark and stormy night, with long black hair and a long black cloak. He was an eerie sight. A crowd had gathered in the road as footsteps they drew near. From farm and woods and hill they came to greet the stranger here. A scythe he clutched beneath his cape, with blades so long and bright, newly sharpened by the looks of things, the way it caught the light. The animals, they all shrank back from his piercing glance. He looked them up and down and said, "Right, I want to dance. I shall dance and you shall play, for nights and days times 3. And if the music it should stop, then one of you comes with me." The old man's cat stepped forward with his violin and said, "Okay then, stranger, I'm ready to begin. Do your worst and dance, you fiend, I'll tire you out right soon." To which the stranger tossed his head and cackled at the moon. He started up and kicked his heels, his limbs they fairly flew, but the fiddler wasn't daunted, a rake of tunes he knew. He played long and he played hard, his bow danced on the string, jigs and reels and slow airs too, and a hornpipe for a Highland fling. The stranger did a step dance, feet tapping to an old strathspey. Never was such dancing seen before or since that day. Through the night and all next day the fiddler did not stop, but as darkness it came down again, his arm began to flop. His bow was slow and sluggish. "Faster!" yelled the fiend, but poor cat's arms now ached right through. He was beaten, he gleaned. And so to a round of wild applause the cat stepped from the fray, and in trotted a quick brown fox, her accordion to play. Fleet of foot and light of touch, her fingers flew on the keys. Right through until the dawn she played with the greatest of ease. Schottisches and gay Gordons, marches and quadrilles, she played her sparkly piano box with lots of fancy trills. The stranger danced as never before, kicked up dust each side, arms and legs a flailing round, doing the pally glide. He showed no signs of tiring as he danced a minuet, and got new inspiration from a fine old French musette. All the dances of the world he knew each one right through, mazurka, saraband and gavotte, the tarantella too. But the accordion was heavy and Fox could not keep going, so glad was she when Sheep stepped in with bagpipes a-blowing. The fiend's eyes lit up with delight. He screamed, "At last, my muse! Tune up those drones, you silly old yow, and I'll dance the great chanteuse." He flung his scythe to the ground, with a mighty clang it fell, and he danced around it as o'er 2 swords, with feet that cast a spell. Now the sheep was pure Macrimmin, an exceedingly musical flock. From the Isle of Skye they hailed, the finest piping stock. He played a couple of pibroch that lasted half the day, a few more 6-8 marches, whiled an hour away. But the piper was no young spring lamb, no longer of strong stuff, and being a bit asthmatic, was running out of puff. The pipes began to groan and wheeze, Sheep's breath was all but done. The stranger stamped and laughed, shouting, "Aha! Looks like I've won." But forward stepped a sprightly dog, strumming a mandolin. Not so fast, dark stranger. Let's just see who'll win. Jack Russell was this fellow's name. Up on the farm he stayed. A gasp rippled through the crowd, for no one knew he played. Play that mandolin, Jack, play that mandolin. The excited throng egged him on, making quite a din. The stranger twirled his cloak aloft as he spun the wild fandango. Moonlight lit the road in front as he swept into a tango. Jack strummed and plucked for all he was worth. How well he played the thing. But then, alas, disaster struck. He went and snapped a string. With one less string, Jack played on. He gave the job his best, but cold night air took its toll and quickly snapped the rest. A hush fell on the gathered crowd. No one made a sound. As the fiend giggled hysterically, throwing himself to the ground. He rolled about in the dust, whooping like a madman, cackling and foaming at the mouth. Here surely was a bad man. Into the midst of the ghastly scene came a mouse as black as soot. No one heard her above the noise, till at last she stamped her foot. "Excuse me, your attention please. Our hopes are not yet sunk. The sun will very soon be up, and we can beat this punk. I may not play the mandolin, I may not play the fiddle, I may not play the old banjo, but I sure as nuts can diddle." And so the little mouse began the cantarach of old. She may have just been tiny, but her voice was big and bold. Hee drum, ho drum, hi drum do. Her diddling was grand and clear, going through a tune or two. The fiend burst into laughter. "Bah! Not a chance, if you think a rodent diddling is going to make me dance." But gradually his laughter stopped, and lo, he started clapping. And what's more, the mouse did note, his foot had started tapping. Ibra, obra, the fiend leapt to his feet. Ibra, orum, moving to the beat. With hands on hips and pointed toes, he slipped into a samba, then going from an Irish jig, rustled up a rumba. The stranger could not stop himself. He danced the whole day through, while little mouse diddled each and every tune she knew. 3 nights and days had now gone by, and with the setting of the sun, the animals cheered with joy. They knew at last they'd won. "I am defeated," the stranger said. "You've won, all fair and square." And taking the scythe up in his cloak, was quickly gone from there. The mouse was carried shoulder high, as laughter filled the glen. They soon forgot the stranger, who was never seen again. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I wonder if you remember how many instruments were in the story and what they were. You have a wee think. Do you remember this one? The fiddle. That's right, that was the first one, wasn't it? And we had then the accordion. And this is a piano accordion because it's got piano keys on this side. And then we had sheep playing, yes, that's right, the bagpipes. Well done. And then we had little Jack Russell playing the mandolin, didn't we? But I was using a ukulele. I'm sorry I had to cheat a little bit there because I don't have a mandolin that I could show you. This is a ukulele, so I was strumming that instead. And then the little mouse was diddling, wasn't she? The cantarach, which is what we do when we want to sort of sing a tune but without the words, or sing a song without the words. So there's lots of he drum, ho drums and hi drum doos, that sort of thing. And it's a good way of keeping a tune going if you don't know the words, or there aren't any words to the tune, or you don't have a musical instrument handy. So I hope you enjoyed this story, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye bye.